Welcome to Wheels Boy. Today we are once again in Chongqing, one of my absolute favorite Chinese cities. And as you can see, I am wearing the closest thing I own to a camouflage Hawaiian shirt. That's because we're going off-roading today in this, the Tank 400 Hi4-T. Welcome to Wheels Boy, where we cover the newest, coolest, and wildest vehicles from the Chinese car market. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I've been trying to think of a way to describe the exterior styling on this car ever since I saw it. I know for sure it looks a lot like a Toyota 4Runner, let's be honest, but I think a Toyota 4Runner that drank one too many energy drinks. To say that this design is a bit fussy would probably be an understatement, let's be honest. There's about 150 different body lines all going different directions at once. There's also a ton of details all going on at the same time, things like these rivets on your fenders, as well as these streaks here, that kind of thing. Well, it's all over this car. Let's go front to back when it comes to this car's off-road capabilities. Up here, as you can see, these are all-season tires, but you can get some all-terrain tires as part of a separate package. This thing has a locking front differential as an option, but the center and rear locking diffs are standard. Double wishbone front suspension and leaf springs in the rear. This is a body-on-frame vehicle. We've got your traditional tank rear-mounted tire. We've also got a barn-style door as well. This, by the way, soft close. That's going to be an important thing. If we open up the rear, when you have these seats up, 566 liters of space. When you fold them down, 1,803. As you can see, they've put an air mattress inside of here to illustrate the fact that this could very easily be a place you could stay overnight. The Hi4-T in the Tank 400 Hi4-T's name refers to its PHEV powertrain. That combines a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder up front here with a single rear-mounted electric motor and a 9-speed automatic transmission. Combined, they make 300 kilowatts and 750 newton-meters of torque. The inclusion of a 37.1 kilowatt-hour battery pack means this thing is capable of V2L, that's vehicle to load, up to 3.3 kilowatts. That means it can power things like that speaker right there, or that coffee machine that I just got a coffee from. It also can tow up to 2.5 tons, or 2,500 kilograms, as you can see from this quite large trailer right there. The Tank 400 also has automatically deploying running boards, as you can see. Now you can set those to deploy automatically when you open and close the door, or you can set them to be open all the time. Whatever crimes the exterior of this car might commit, the interior is not quite so bad. Don't get me wrong, it's not minimalistic. There's tons of details like this pattern on this plastic trim, or even more of those rivets that you found outside, but overall it's slightly less offensive to the eye. One reason I'm willing to forgive it for some of its trespasses is the fact that it is absolutely packed with features. These real leather seats, for example, have heating, cooling, and massaging. Here in the center console, we have dual wireless charging pads, 50-watt wireless charging pads. Above that, we have a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster screen and a massive 16.2-inch center screen. There's also another screen up here. This is a digital rear view mirror. Here's where you're going to find your controls for all of your off-road functions. For example, trail turn, a trail cruise control. This is also where you lock your rear diff and your front diff, and you put the car into 4-low. This knob here is used to control, or used to switch between, rather, the different driving modes. If that's not enough physical buttons for you, there is also a big row of physical buttons here underneath your center screen for controlling your air conditioning. I absolutely love it. They're huge, they're chunky, and they're very easy to hit. How do they achieve that super flat load floor back here? Well, that's because they're able to lift up the seat bottoms like this. Let's actually stow that so you can see seat space, which is quite copious. I am 5'9" or 1.75 meters tall, and as you can see, I have a very decent amount of headroom, as well as a very decent amount of legroom as well. Down here by your legs, you have a control panel for your air conditioning. This is a 3 climate zone vehicle. driver, passenger, and second row all separate. Under that, you've got 2 USB charging ports, a Type-C and a traditional Type-A, and honestly, the seating position and everything, very comfortable. Now, Tank has positioned this vehicle as the ultimate combination of off-road ability and daily comfortable commuter. I can't speak to the off-road ability yet, that's going to come later today, but I can talk a little bit about what it's like to drive on public roads. As the numbers would attest, power is not an issue with this car. 750 newton meters of torque, 300 kilowatts. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour happens in 6.8 seconds, which is plenty fast for a car this big in this segment. How that power is delivered, however, could use some refinement. There is a noticeable lag between when you put your foot down and when this thing really takes off. And because it has so much power, that lag is even more noticeable. So I would advise them to refine that just a little bit. This being a PHEV, it does have a pure electric range that's provided by a 37.1 kilowatt hour battery pack. That electric range is 105 kilometers on the WLTC cycle. That's not CLTC. That's the very optimistic Chinese domestic one. That's WLTC, so you can reasonably expect to achieve a range that's pretty close to that in everyday driving. One area where this car is quite refined, however, is in terms of NVH, noise, vibration, harshness, particularly the sound from the 2-liter Turbo 4 up front. It is not very perceptible, to be honest. Even when it transitions from the pure EV mode to the hybrid mode where the 2-liter is providing power, you don't really notice it very much apart from some increased vibration through the pedal and things like that. It's very well done. There's active noise cancellation, double pane glass, tons of sound deadening. This thing comes off as a pretty refined ride, even at highway speeds. Suspension-wise, this thing has, I think, what is a traditional compromise when it comes to off-road vehicles. We'll see when we get it off-road whether it can actually perform as it should, but here on the road, it performs kind of how I would expect. The suspension actually feels kind of hard, and it jumps quite a bit over bumps. That's the leaf spring rear for you. It doesn't come off as way less refined or way less comfortable than other cars in this segment, but I don't know if I would count this as the most comfortable commuter car that I've ever driven. Once you get on the highway and you are enjoying the relatively quiet ride, you can also enjoy level 2 driver assistance, which comes as standard on this car. That means adaptive cruise control with lane keep assist. That's cool and all, but what we really care about is whether this thing is capable off-road. Thankfully, we are about to reach the Chongqing Forest Off-Road Park, and we're gonna find out. All right, we are entering the off-road course. I am not what you would call an expert helmsman when it comes to off-roading. Heck, I'm not even an amateur helmsman, so I imagine this vehicle's capabilities are going to be much higher than my own, but I can still tell you a bit about what it's like to drive off-road. So the first thing I'm noticing, and probably one of the funnier things, is the fact that this is actually more comfortable off-road maybe than it was on-road. This is definitely built to be doing this, not necessarily to be the most comfortable, perfect commuter car. We're currently not even in 4 low. We don't have any of the diffs locked. This is just your standard 4 high, and it is obviously having absolutely no problem getting through any of this. This is not particularly high-level off-roading, even I know that. But it's probably going to come across as even easier on camera. That's the frustrating thing about filming off-roading. It never looks as hard to you as it does to me seeing it in real life. So, quick data dump. Approach angles in this car, 33 degrees. Departure angle, 30 degrees. Maximum ground clearance, 22.4 centimeters, so about 8.9 inches. seems so far like more than enough to get me through all of this. Okay, here we go. Now, I have a display here that shows me things like the current angle of the tires and everything. This, for example, ooh, that probably didn't look like much on camera, but it was kind of scary from here. This is not a small vehicle. It's almost 5 meters in length. So it does feel pretty long and pretty wide on this trail, but it also feels pretty light on its feet, in this environment at least. All right, now we're approaching a pretty terrifying looking mound here. Try to keep the wheel pointed in the right direction. That was drama-free. That was steep enough that the car's parking sensors were going off, telling me that I was about to run into something, but from the driver's seat, it really didn't feel very hard at all. So this thing's maximum wading depth is 80 centimeters. Today, I was in the passenger seat when the instructor went through 60 centimeters. No problem at all. You're probably wondering, hey, do I want to put my PHEV with a big battery pack underwater? Well, apparently this thing is rated to be underwater, under a meter of water, the battery pack, for up to 30 minutes before you're going to have any kind of problem. So as long as you don't park it in the ocean, you're probably fine. Are you interested in buying this or any other Chinese vehicle and you do not live in the United States or Canada? Be sure to reach out to us via email at info@wheelsboy.cn. We can connect you with a reliable exporter of Chinese vehicles. That's going to do it today for our review of the Tank 400 Hi4-T. Is it the ultimate combination of daily commuter and off-roader? I don't know if I would go that far. It does have a lot of the same compromises that I've come to expect from four-wheel drive vehicles. Things like not great mannerisms on road, a little bit too jumpy there, a little too hard there. But once you get it onto the trail, this thing really does perform quite well. And it actually feels even more comfortable than it does on the road. The powertrain I think is probably the weakest point. That Hi4-T system has tons of power, but it needs a little bit of refinement. Hopefully Tank can do something about that in the future.